know, I appreciate it when a game tells me right off the bat what it is from the title. I think everyone should follow suit, such as Soul Calibur calling itself 3D Fantasy Weapons Simulator, or calling Super Smash Bros. Company Mascot Fighting Simulator. All bad jokes aside, is Car Mechanic Simulator 2015 worth buying? While I haven't played the previous year's edition, I'll judge the game as a standalone title and what can be improved for future releases. So the first thing to do after adjusting all the options is to start a new game. You'll be given a tutorial that is way too brief. Calling it a tutorial isn't really the best way to call it, since it just tells you to pick up the phone for your first job. Other than that, you're on your own. The game pretty much assumes that you have at least a decent amount of knowledge on where the parts can be found. Since I'm kind of an idiot when it comes to fixing cars, I messed up a lot on my first assignments. However, I got the hang of it and I began fixing cars left and right. The mechanics of this game, pun intended, work really well. Putting on and taking off objects is pretty simple. Using the right mouse button, you can put on objects or take off objects. Some parts need to be screwed on while others just plop in there. One aspect that I found really cool is how you need to take off certain points before reaching the more internal ones. While it does seem simple, it shows respect to the hardcore mechanics out there who do this for a living. Of course, not every nook and cranny is included in the cars, but it does its best to recreate what a mechanic will look for. At first, the assignments you'll get will flat out tell you what is wrong, but the later ones require you to examine the parts and test them out in other ways. One of the main ways of doing this is taking the car for a spin in the abandoned factory lot. This is probably my favorite part in the game, as you can feel which parts need replacing. If one of the brake pads need replacing, you'll lose control when slowing down. If the suspension needs work, you'll struggle with making turns. Seeing all these parts in action is probably the biggest draw for me. When you gain experience, you can unlock new features such as the paint shop in the garage, faster screwing, faster disassembly and reassembly, and much more. Some are through upgrade points while others are from having a certain amount of experience. You can also use the experience points you gain to customize your garage. It takes 1000 experience points to get an upgrade point, which is pretty slow. Also, you can't upgrade the look of your garage and unlock some new tools. This means customizing your garage is pretty much pointless since you want to focus on efficiency and getting the best tools possible over anything else. The cars also change as you gain experience. You'll start out working on Piccolos, but you'll eventually move on to Friezas, Gohans, and eventually Gokus. The selection is decent enough at first, but it definitely lacks variety after a few hours in. While some have argued that this has been remedied by DLC, the DLC is not free. And even with the DLC, the cars will get a bit samey after a while. Probably with a few more packs, there should be enough content for a long time. And that leads to one big issue for me I have with the game. There's a lack of replay value for me. I get a bit tired after replacing the brake discs about 85 times and going through the same process over and over again. As my segues get better, again it leads to another big problem for me. The progression is way too damn slow. The part that sold me is the feature of buying your own cars at the auction and selling them. The problem is when you need about 9,000 experience points and $10,000 to buy the parking lot and able to buy cars, it makes it a grind just to get there. This is something that should be either unlocked from the start or something that doesn't take too long to achieve. By this review, I have played this game for about 8 hours and I've achieved only a bit more than 5,000 experience points. I honestly wish there were some more features as the potential is limitless. Some new features I would like to see is the ability to test drive your own cars on different tracks, find salvage cars to fix them up, hire other mechanics to work alongside you, and probably the most basic, have some sort of time system. There seems to be virtually no penalty for how long a car takes you to finish. There are really no bills to pay, no customers that complain, so money is rarely an issue. That's probably more of a tycoon aspect than a simulation, but it'll still be nice to include that. Some other aspects I would like to mention are how awesome the graphics and music is. Everything looks so crisp and beautiful. There's a bit too much motion blur, especially when you're trying to walk around the garage, but other than that I have no complaints. The music features electronic music and it's easy to get lost in it. It's just awesome. But in conclusion, I do like this game. There are a lot of nods given to the hardcore enthusiast, and while I'm not one of them, I admire the respect given to them. While I wish some of the aspects were fixed, like progression and possibly an expansion of features, I still had fun with it. I definitely recommend it, especially to anyone who has a keen interest in the field. Of course, this game doesn't teach you everything, but I did get a better understanding of how cars work. Hey guys, thank you for watching my review of Car Mechanic Simulator 2015. If you've enjoyed it, please like and subscribe. I try to do these reviews weekly. On the right is my review of Flat Out the original. On my left is last week's review of an indie game known as Interplanetary. Thank you once again, and this is Pow3rh0use signing off.